Hello, everyone. Welcome to the NJ1ST podcast. My name is Ryan McDonald. Follow the NJ1ST podcast on Rumble and YouTube. Support free speech. Today, I have a guest with me running for state assembly in Legislative District 13. That is Monmouth County. John Morrison. He's going to join us today for a free speech discussion. He's going to let us know about his candidacy, why he's throwing his hat in the ring, and what he wants the people of New Jersey to know. Welcome, and thank you for joining us, John.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. Very exciting.
Thank you for joining us. And if you'd like to tell us a little bit about yourself, what got you involved in politics and why you're running for state assembly.
It'd be funny to say, I sound like, if anybody's watched the session, I'll sound like Connor Roy goes, I was interested in politics at a very young age. I've always loved social studies. I'm a social studies teacher. I've been one for 12 years. Love political science, love government studies. I don't necessarily love government, but I do love government studies. But I think I've always kind of like had an interest in running for office. I think I filled out the Libertarian candidate, I guess, information portal, and then never sent it in for like 5 years. And then about a year and a half ago, I was like, I'm just going to hit send and see what happens. And initially, I was interested in running for Congress because our last two congressional nominees, I actually had a lot of discourse with. So I was like, I think I could be the next guy next year. So that'd be 2024. And so I went to a few meetings and they told me, the 13th legislative district that you live in is up in 2023. Is that something you might be interested in? And I was like, absolutely. Like, that is not even something I was really even thinking of. And not to say it's less than, running for Congress, but the more I researched what the state legislature does, is exactly what I was interested in, and that means working for the district I live in. I've said it before, and I say it again. I think you see a lot of these people in Congress, and they never go home to their district. So this became available, and I was like, that's exactly what I want to do. I want to live at home, and I want to serve the people of my neighbors, basically. Then the ball just got rolling big time. Was able to meet a lot of people, be able to hit the streets. There's a lot more libertarians, registered libertarians in my district than I thought there were. We haven't had a candidate on the ballot for this General Assembly in 6 years. So it's kind of been just a two-party race for a while. So and it is a two-seat race. So you have two Republicans, two Democrats, and me. There's the five of us.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And like you said, it's been the duopoly, the uni party for so long. I know there has been some New Jersey Libertarian candidates who have tried before to run. It's hard to get a lot of help. It looks like you've made the ballot. So you have a campaign, a successful campaign, and you even went through a debate, I believe, just 2 days ago with them. How'd that go?
Yeah, that was actually like watching the debate back. The one rule was no personal attacks. So it was really, I wouldn't even initially, me going in, I didn't think it would be a debate. I thought we would all just kind of state our platforms. We had an hour and a half, everybody gets their turns and stuff. And it was with the two state Senate candidates and then all five of us running for General Assembly. And, the one rule was, no personal attacks, just state your platform. And you can see me, I think, chuckle a little bit because they went in on each other so quickly. And I was just like, oh, I thought that was the one rule. But as the libertarian, you could tell they were so interested in going back and forth with each other because, like, as you said, I think a lot of people do see this as just a two-way race, and then here's the guy running as a libertarian. But nobody really addressed me and after anything I said, and I was like, I get it. Like, it's you guys have bigger fish to fry. But yeah, I was holding back laughter because it happened so quickly, and I wasn't expecting them to go in so hard on each other. But I don't know what I was expecting. I knew they were going to go in at some point, but it was right off the bat in opening statements, and I was like, oh, here we go. This is
And
great.
it's even the longer that you're in the state politics, the people who are lashing out on these debates end up
Yeah,
being friends with one another before the debates happen, before the
exactly.
primaries, and it's like, wait, I saw you talking good about him, and now you hate him, and
Yeah,
then they go back and
yeah.
forth. It's
Oh,
awesome that a
that's
libertarian on the outside can, like a fly on the wall in a sense.
yeah. It's kind of what it was. I thank them a lot just for including me. It was really, really cool to get the
Right.
invite. So, and that was the League of Women Voters of Monmouth County. And so when I got that email, I was like, yeah, I'll be there. I was like, this
Mm-hmm.
is great. But it's funny, they're all either you could tell they're very seasoned politicians. They've run on their record. Um, so and then obviously most of them have law degrees. I don't have a law degree, so it seemed, you know, uh
There's that
kind of the fish
stereotype.
out of water. Yeah, I was like,
There's
I'm
that
like the little fish
stereotype,
out of water.
and I went to Rutgers University Newark for political science, and ever since I got out of college, I noticed that all of the elected officials are lawyers, or they have some
Yeah,
sort of affiliation with law degrees and all that. It's interesting. I thought they were supposed to be for the working class people, trying to
no,
rebrand that GOP or the Democrat Party for the
yeah,
working average
and
American, but
and they all
no.
went to the same schools. Yeah.
Right. If you'd like to explain a little bit more about yourself, otherwise we'll get right into free speech and discussion so other
No,
people
it's
can
yeah.
learn more about you.
I'm ready to go. Let's do this. I'm pumped.
Sure. So I'll start off with the NJ state budget. There's been some candidates who have been bringing that to light in their campaigns, and I really do appreciate that.
Yeah,
I think Adam Elias, running in legislative district, I think 14 for the
yeah.
Republicans, he brought up that when Governor Murphy came and started in 2017, when he was elected, the
Mhm.
New Jersey budget was $38 billion.
Right.
And now that today it is $54 billion, meaning, just a treasure trove of debt, spending, borrowing,
Yep.
taxation, revenue. So that is not good, if you ask me. And
Yeah.
we can even align this with the congressional. But first, let's start with the states, since you're running for a state
Right.
assembly. How do you feel about the huge budget? I guess that's not even a budget. Yeah, no, it is a budget. It's just coupled with debt and stuff, right? That's what it
Right.
was.
Yeah. But that's a.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at it, I mean, that's a huge jump. So initially, jumping the budget that much, you have to be like, well, what are the goals with now that we're going to inflate the budget to this level?
Mhm.
And you brought up Adam. I actually went to high school with Adam, so shout out to Adam that we're both running same graduating class at the same time in two different districts. um, but looking more into it, I see Murphy's goal being right. He wants to alleviate property taxes for seniors, influx of money into education, and obviously property taxes are a huge problem. But then you see, there might be a rise in the people making more than $1 million a year. But again, as a libertarian, I just inflating a budget to that size, I just have to ask like all the very specific details if we're going to boost our government spending, I'm going to need a lot more information than that. And I know like if reading up on it again, like the back and forth as to when this went in, I know it was like a last second thing, right? They waited until like the deadline, I think in the summer.
Yeah, I think it was
Um,
even attached with the green energy where they're like, oh, we didn't really even properly like see how much this was going to cost us.
yeah,
So we're going
yeah.
to have to increase the budget by a lot more.
That's what I saw. Even
Appraise
some
it. Yeah.
Democrats were what he was coupling it with. Even some Democrats were like, "Ah, it would have been nice if I heard that." Like
Yeah, I did see that too.
yeah. They're like,
And
I mean, I
as
voted
a
for it, but
and I appreciate the conversation. I really do appreciate John Morrison
yeah,
running for Libertarian candidate in Legislative District 13 coming on, and we can speak this way because there were Democrats who opposed the green energy as early as I saw like 2020, saying, "How are we going to pay for this, Governor Murphy?" And Republicans don't necessarily let people know that there are very, very few minority Democrats standing up. So that is
right.
good that you touched on that. And if there's anything else you want to touch on the state budget, I want to couple this and compare and
Yeah,
contrast with the federal budget that we just went
yeah.
through.
I mean, that's just. I mean, as a libertarian, I repeated myself in this debate like 1,000 times. I was like, it's government funding is the problem. I mean, the government has their hands monetarily in way too much on the state and federal level. And when someone is in essence handing you cash, I feel like you are now indebted to them for whatever they're going to tell you to do. And I constantly say this, that the way to lower taxes and the way to lower property taxes and lower a budget is by not having so much government. And you'll see very quickly the programs and the services and things. I can't make a huge list now, but there have to be some fat that can be trimmed off that very easily. But we've gotten to the point now that we're so used to just being at the level that we're at and having kind of that hand feeding us and punching us at the same time. And and again, on the federal level, you have people that have been in those seats for a very long time, and there's no end in sight for a lot of people, especially in Congress and the Senate. They could sit there as long as they want to sit there, and we complain, and then we reelect them. But again, in terms of the state budget, I saw that number, man, and I couldn't believe it jumped up that much, and how much he says we have in the surplus, and what he was kind of bragging about. But to circle back what you said before, I did laugh when I saw some Democrats were like, "Yeah, we did this at the last second, and would have been nice if we had a little more detail."
Right. And for the federal side of that, a lot of people don't want to come to face the fact that, well, Donald Trump's not the president anymore, and he left the office with a really increased debt, $33 trillion in debt now, at least. And obviously it was from Congress, but he could have not signed those spending bills, those omnibus bills. So this is in the meta, it's in the American politics. We're now having the inflation and the international relations of the dollar is being unweaved. But the reason I wanted to bring this up, and as a libertarian, you can probably give your opinion on this regarding spending and debt. As I just said before with Adam Elias brought up the state budget, and it's really a lot of spending, and we have to talk about this. It's like a family account. We all have we're all in this together. But on the federal level, when it came to Matt Gaetz really putting up the fight against Kevin McCarthy, really about the spending, the single line bills rather than a continuing resolution of just A-OK, everyone votes for the budget. And the government shutdown. We have people like John Bramnick, leaders in New Jersey, Republicans, that are calling people like Matt Gaetz extremists. Anybody who wants to, maybe look into this debt trove, this spending, outrageous spending as extremists. When in the same thing in New Jersey's like DC. It's like we're in so much debt, we're causing this debt, we're spending so much, and DC's the same. But do you definitely understand the problem with the debt in DC, right? Even though you're going to be a state assemblyman.
It's like what you said, how dare you, then how dare you look into this? It's like, well, we're spending a lot more than we have, and this debt has not gone down in a very long time, and it just seems to be exponentially growing. And I can't help but just be amazed by Matt Gaetz, because he just, every time I feel like he has the microphone, you can tell he just feeds into that type of attention. And I guess you could call him an extremist in some ways, but to call him that because he's asking for details on why our debt keeps growing doesn't necessarily make him extreme. It proves he's asking a question. But that's what I see. I feel like never before, I guess in our lifetime, have I seen a party like the Republican Party just really have this civil war. I mean, say what you will about the Democrats, man. Nancy Pelosi tells them how to vote. That's how they vote. It just seems like it's like, boom, we all vote right down the line.
Even AOC. Yep.
Yeah, dude, they speak and it goes, oh yeah, you got it. But then lately, we saw when McCarthy became speaker, how long did that take? And even right now, we're doing it again. Right. So it's, like you said, even Republicans calling out Republicans based on this. And it's like, shouldn't we all be on the same page when this is clearly a gigantic issue that's affecting all 50 states? Is that we can't figure out a way to alleviate any of our national debt? But I mean, that is a huge hot topic on libertarians. If you follow any libertarian on Instagram, they all have the same memes of about, look at the number, what it was, look at the number now. But we, for whatever reason, it's the people in power that cannot stop spending this money and can't stop borrowing this money, and that will only create more division inside the country and these parties. And I don't see them alleviating it anytime soon. That this is insurmountable level of debt. And again, like I said, and like you said, it just keeps growing. And you're really, hemorrhaging, and you're kind of bankrupting the future that's already bankrupt, and making it just impossible for us to overcome this. But yeah, that's the in-party kind of sniding. You guys got to chill, because it's something that needs to be discussed, and not, I'm going to attack you before I answer your question. Like that's something I can't get across.
Very, very good points. And we'll move on to the next question. But just to finish this off, it's obvious and easy for libertarians to understand, but Republicans, John Bramnick, your leader, is calling y'all an extremist for what Matt Gaetz is doing. Okay. Yep. I talked to just regular Republicans, not like party Republicans, like just regular voting Republicans. And they don't think that shutting down the government for a week, 2 weeks is extreme. They don't. I don't come across anybody who really thinks that, except actually not even like people who work for the Fed. They're like, you know what? We need to shut it off for 2 weeks. And then they'll worry about their paychecks and like a month, probably. They'll worry, but they still have that sentiment.
That's what I'd say, like the real far libertarians were like counting down to the government shutdown, because they were like, oh, we were so close. We were so close. And I was like, yeah, we were. Yeah, we definitely were.
And we'll move on to the next one. And this definitely has to do with New Jersey, the state, because we were one of the states that locked down pretty hard during COVID. So let's talk about the COVID lockdowns, Murphy's postmortem, which he never had. He went on Fox News with Tucker Carlson. Bill of Rights didn't really matter to him. Looks like they're not really mattering to him again with other stuff. And the vax mandates and mask mandates. Let's talk about that. And
Dude, I'll speak from, and I have no problem saying this. I didn't and still have not gotten vaccinated, and I don't consider myself like an anti-vax person. I just, at the time, I was like, I just think it's a little too soon. But coming in and being a public school educator, that was really eye-opening to how people thought about you because you weren't vaccinated. And with us, only the few of us had to be tested on a weekly basis. We shut down and had to go virtual multiple times based on vaccinated staff coming into school thinking they couldn't have COVID. And now we know that that's very common. But like, even like the bigger issue is you can't turn people into pariahs because they're not doing what the government's telling them to do. Like, and that narrative where, you're hurting other people with basically, a sickness that anybody could carry, even the vaccinated, even the multi-vaccinated and boosted, to pick out those people that didn't get vaccinated was just wrong. And it was a choice. It's not like, it's not like I lost my job because I didn't get vaccinated, but there were more hoops that I had to jump through that nobody else did. And like I said, there were people coming into work with COVID, but they were like, yeah, but I'm vaccinated. It's like, yeah, it doesn't make a difference. Like you can't assume that you're not going to spread whatever this is just because you got vaccinated. But again, I'm different than a lot of libertarians because like I'm not anti-medical science and innovation at all. I just, at the time, I was like, I think I'll wait and just kind of see how this goes. And a lot like other people, you have this kind of like, I don't regret not getting vaccinated. Like I don't. There were like times where we had people close to me that were a little worried that I wasn't doing it, and I was like, I just want to wait it out. Like I'm not. You guys could do what you want to do. I'm not saying what you did was wrong, but it became this kind of like another, like you said before, another division just to cause like this unneeded uproar. But in terms of mask mandates, that's something that I worry about just because I see so many people still wearing masks on a daily basis. And again, if that's something you want to do, I have no problem with you wearing a mask, but just the word mandate always kind of concerns me because putting people like into a group like that is going to cause what it did before. and we're all going to feel scared everywhere we go if we're going to have to go back to mask mandates. I mean, I know, Ryan, I'm sure you remember when all this broke in 2020, like go to the grocery store, like layer up, mask up, gloves on, bring everything home from the grocery store, keep it all outside and wash it all down, then like immediately take a shower and then like wash all the food down again.
I
And
forgot
I'm
about the
like, if we
wiping
have
of
to
the
go,
food. I
dude,
forgot about the wiping of the food.
just leaving it all outside, spraying it all down, and then like immediately sprinting into the shower because, oh my God, I don't know what's on me. But that was like built out of uncertainty and fear. And then we all just kind of fell in line because we were so afraid of getting sick, I guess. But yeah, like that, just that word mandate, and again, I'm not a crazy like conspiracy theorist or anything. I just hate the word mandate, basically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great. And
But,
thank you for that. And
yeah.
the comments that I have to remember about libertarians during the COVID lockdown, and this is because, unfortunately, as everybody admits, a lot of people coming out and apologizing that they're mistakes,
Yeah.
Republicans and Democrats, they went along with it. Would they go
Mhm.
along with? A lot of people would say global communism, okay, a
Yes.
shutdown and stuff like that. But they went along with it. Everyone was scared. Whether it be 2 weeks, they went along with it, 4 weeks, or a year. Who cares? But I'll tell you this. New Jersey Libertarian Party, they protested and rallied during the lockdown down in
Oh
Trenton when
yeah.
everyone else was staying home. If you remember, maybe you were a part of this. I think one of them was a car rally because we were so locked down in this fascist communist
Yeah.
state of New Jersey that we weren't allowed to have our First Amendment
Yeah.
right to assemble,
Can't
to
leave your
gather
car.
and assemble. So they went in their
Right.
cars around Trenton, bumping their horns. This wasn't necessarily conservatives. This was the libertarians. I saw it organized by them.
Yeah.
And then also I saw maybe a couple of weeks later, or maybe months later, maybe even a year later, that they did it again outside of the NJEA actual building down in Trenton. If you were at any of those events, I'd love to hear your
No,
words
but
for it. But
I
if you
do know
know
what
any
you're
of those,
talking about. No,
cool,
but that was
cool.
hilarious. But you're right. That was a complete uh attack on your First Amendment right to assemble. And the kind of the twist libertarians did to do it as a car protest, I just thought was hilarious. But you find that I'd say what you brought up before, I think the Bill of Rights have become like something now suddenly everybody's reading when we all had to read it in junior high and middle school and high school. And now suddenly everybody has an opinion on it. If you're going to take the risk yourself during something like COVID, you're doing just that. It's your autonomy to do it. You're doing it willingly. Like I didn't go, other libertarians went, and they
Mm-hmm.
knew very well, in a mass group like this, people could get sick. And it happened in much smaller groups as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, to forbid that First Amendment right under the kind of shadow of fear, is what you said before. I mean, that's as the stinkings of communism and fascism, to be like, listen, it's for your own good.
Right.
That it's like, well, I know what's good for me, and if I get sick, I get sick. It's my choice to be out here.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
I just think choosing the drive-by was just fantastic. That's the way to do
and
it.
and and the reason why I brought that up is because a lot of people commenting now mad at their Republicans or Democrats that are coming out against the mandates that happened 2 years ago. Now it was the
Yeah.
Libertarians in real time that stood up. It might have been very minority, very few, but I saw it. I just want to give them credit. And we're going to move on to another question having to do with more education, since you yourself
Yes.
are a teacher. Banned books has come up in the news a lot regarding the books in libraries and in schools that is being influenced on teacher or on children.
Yeah.
First, it was critical race theory. Now it's LGBT. But just to piggyback off the First Amendment, like you said, people are now reading it again, and it has a couple of different tenets in the First Amendment, not just freedom of assembly. One of them is freedom of press, and that is banned books. I'm sure
Mhm.
yourself, as a teacher and a libertarian, don't like books being banned, but
No.
these are specific. This is a specific topic as for parental rights, children,
Yes.
obscene pictures. I guess if you want to just give your opinions on it or what's going on. I don't know if
Yeah.
your picture froze or whatnot, but I can hear
Yeah.
you.
You're
I don't know if the
frozen. Yeah,
picture
you're
froze.
frozen on me too. That's all right.
Hmm.
As long as we can
Okay.
hear each other. Yeah.
Okay.
Um. Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, I'm still frozen. That's all right. in terms of that, no, banning books is, because you could choose to read something, but in terms of like to have access to, there's some wildly inappropriate things that you hear about that are available in libraries and schools. And that's where you kind of have to draw a line. I mean, there's no reason that 7-year-olds should be able to pick up things that are that erotic, and you're blanking it in what we're teaching them about gender and gender fluidity and these things. And like, sure, but there has to be a more common sense way to do that. But I just lost all my picture now.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
I got you back.
Now I'm back. But yeah, that's it, it's and being honestly, my daughter's about 17 months old. I would have had a different answer to you 2 years ago.
Nice.
Right. But and we have that. It's huge in Middletown now with parental rights. And I believe in terms of education, the people closest to the student should be the ones making those kind of calls. That's why I like that the idea of putting education back in the hands of the districts and locally, because as a teacher, we have to follow the state curriculum, which I've had to rewrite for our history department 3 times in the last 6 years because certain things now have to be added. And I mean, you could tell me, and this is not me being insensitive, I have to do gender studies of the 1770s in America. Like, I don't know how I'm supposed to cover that without, like, there were such clear gender roles back then that, like, it's very difficult to find something that can relate to today. Or cover, we have to cover LGBTQ things in revolutionary America. And I was like, please, if you can find me somebody that I can talk about, I'll do it. But that wasn't the time or history that was such an open topic. But that's what I was saying before. The state's hand in education, we're told to differentiate instruction, make sure, not every student learns the same way. And that's 1,000% true. But then every single kid has to take the same standardized test. Some kids are just not good test takers. And I know that's a crutch that a lot of people like to fall back on. I'm just not good at taking tests. But it's true. And you have kids that just do not respond to sitting down and taking a formal test. You can assess them in other ways. The state says this is how we know if you're a passing or failing school district. And the demographics across the state of New Jersey, I mean, we're like the melting pot of melting pots. Like us in New York, you very rarely will find 2 people that are exactly the same or learning the same exact way.
Right.
So the state kind of blanketing this over and be like, this is what you have to teach and this is how you have to teach it. That's way too hands-on for a state level. Every district is different. So every school board is different. Every parent is different. So to kind of go from district to district and be like, I can't believe they're doing that there. It's like, yeah, because they're not you. There's different needs and wants of every single school district. And, like I said, it's the state kind of just determining this is the way to teach and this is how to teach it is wrong. I being hands-on as I am, I can speak from experience. It's wrong. It doesn't work. And you're just setting more students up to fail, and they're getting discouraged because every April they all have to take the NJ1ST test, and some do so poorly on it because they finish it in 4 minutes because they want to get it over with. Then it's over with, and then they're like, why are your kids failing? It's like, because they don't want to take this test. So they rush through these 20 or so questions just so they can get it over with. And it's too much of a magnifying glass on that one test, and it makes teachers look awful for, say a kid does really poorly in ELA, they come down on the teacher and be like, why'd your kid fail the NJ1ST? You're his teacher. And it's like, because if you look, he finished the test in 4.5 minutes. That's not enough time to write an essay. Like, he wrote the minimum amount of words and he hit submit. Like, it's, like I said, district to district, some have students and home lives that are much different than others. And that has to be taken into account. That's why I think locally is the solution to education.
Locally? What is that?
That's why I think just locally is the way to go.
Locally. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, there's always the saying in New Jersey, are you in favor of consolidating the districts, right? Because there's so many.
That's always brought up. Yeah. But we have more for some reason in the state of New Jersey, we have more superintendents than we have school districts.
Oh, gosh.
Like, explain that to me. Like, you have
some
people
still getting paid.
Yes, you have big checks getting cashed out of the taxpayers and they're not even working. So,
and just to, I guess, top off on this education topic, we started off with the kids because the parental rights, it's not even, I try and get the Republicans, the conservatives, they call themselves conservatives. I don't call myself a conservative, but if you call
Yeah.
yourself a conservative, you should be probably just as worried as the 13, 14-year-old freshman, 15-year-old freshman that is being indoctrinated just as much as a little, a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old. But they are more, they're more worried about the 5, 6, 7-year-old. I understand completely. I don't even have kids yet, but I understand that they're more worried about the little kids. And so my question to you, because I actually am worried about the high schoolers, because it happened to me within college. You know, the indoctrination, had to recover myself. But if you want to just quickly give your words on, do you think that the American education system, New Jersey education system, is politically indoctrinating kids in any way?
I would say it's a combination of the education system and also where these kids are getting their information from outside of school. Like, why do we care that Dwayne the Rock Johnson is a Democrat? Like, it's
Right.
and they take that as gospel, and that's a huge problem. That, you know, they're not doing their own research. We're told, like I said, by the state what to teach, and then they go home doing their own research and they log onto social media and their favorite celebrities telling them their opinion. They're like, well, that's what I am. And then that's a tale as old as time. Kids are impressionable. And that's why I try to do on a daily basis to keep my personal beliefs out of it, because you could have a kid that does not really like me and he might just believe in the opposite of what I'm preaching. And then the same thing, if a student likes my class and I'm up there preaching my political beliefs, they might not form any of their own. And it's that line we have to draw. But a lot of it, again, starts at home, because if they're hearing certain things and they're looking up certain things on their own, that's a huge part of it. So, like, to answer what you said, it's a combination. Our education system needs to find ways to be less biased, allow these kids to formulate their own opinions, and that's fine. You're entitled to your own opinion. But also, you have half of it that we have pop culture that they believe to be like the word and the law. And that's something that they need to realize on their own, that certain celebrities' opinion doesn't make them an expert. And they think they are.
I appreciate that answer. A lot of people are not used to that. And what I'm hearing from you, it's people have to take responsibility too. It's not just people getting indoctrinated, you know. Great. And we can finish up on the last question. If you've had any thoughts on legislation you propose, what do you bring to Trenton? What are you excited to work with anybody who's in Trenton already, or what are your plans?
I actually, you know, our two sitting assemblymen, I actually like a lot. I think that they're closer to the middle as Republicans as you can be today. You know, a lot in that debate that I was in, I agree with a lot of the things they were saying. Now, granted, they're still part of a system that, you know, as a libertarian, I got, this is how I got chuckles the other night, is because I had ideas to, like, completely turn face. Like, you could tell they're looking their face when I said to abolish all property taxes and go to a consumer tax. And they all were like, ah. And I was like, well, I just like that people could choose what they want to pay. You could tell all their faces were like, that would probably be my salary. I was like, yeah, that would probably be your salary. But yeah, say that this is a victory. Any legislation I can to put the autonomy back into people's hands, to deflate this government, bring it down to a manageable minimal size where it's working for the people and not the other way around. Any legislation I see that's going to inflate the government or in any way raise the burden on people or small businesses or, you know, people struggling, there's no way I could ever possibly stand for that. I don't care what it is. I don't care who's bringing it up. Our state has become too expensive to live in and move to. And we have to find ways to completely turn face in that. And if that is to go to something that we've had for years, like property taxes, and getting rid of it and minimizing this government to a manageable level where it's not such a kind of full-time job, I guess you could say, because technically it's not a full-time job, but the salary of an assemblyman is still decent money. That's something that I am absolutely for, because it should be something that you're doing for the job, not for the paycheck. And to deflate the government and kind of bring it down would obviously cost a lot of people at the state level their jobs. So I don't know how popular I would be. Um, if say I were to win, I might be a one-term guy because I think they want to get rid of me pretty quickly. Any legislation I'm promoting or voting against, I'd probably have a target on my back pretty quickly. Or like I said in the debate, I'd just be the guy that's the fly on the wall and just there.
Right.
But yeah, I know it's an uphill battle. I know I live in a very red district. Our incumbents have been there for a while. Even before them, they were Republicans that have been there for a while. I'm still hitting the ground running. I have, yard signs and brochures and, doing what I can because I would love to not finish in last place. Is really my goal.
That'd be
And
nice. That'd be cool.
yeah, that would be such a great feeling. But again, we have about 180,000 registered voters in this district. And what I was told to be happy about was that over half are unaffiliated. And I was like, that doesn't mean anything. There's a lot of people that don't like to register for whatever party they are. But honestly, anything can happen. And it would be an incredible experience, and to kind of put my money where my mouth is in terms of being the person that minimizes this statewide government.
Great. Awesome. And where can people contact you if they're interested in talking to you, doing an interview themselves, or voting for you, or volunteering? Where can they find your campaign?
Yeah, everything kind of flows through my Instagram. So that's at The More You Know, spelled MORR, just like my last name. Very witty name. Yeah, that's really where a lot of things are run of. I have my J Morrison at NJLP .org. That's my email address. I do obviously check that a lot, but I love to go through my Instagram account. That's how you found me. That's how Larry Sharp found me. So that's where I do get most of my contact. But yeah, again, I have my email address, but my Instagram is what I'm checking pretty regularly.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the NJ First podcast. I hope you stay involved in New Jersey politics, and hope to have you back on. Please subscribe to the NJ First podcast on YouTube, Rumble, on Twitter, and follow John Morrison at The More You Know on Instagram. He'll answer you. Thanks for watching, guys.
All right. Thank you, Ryan.